I'll be giving you a step-by-step guide on how to invest into DeFi liquidity pools. This is for anyone who is looking to make income on their cryptocurrency assets. So when we're looking to get into the liquidity as a service business and find liquidity pools to get into, there's a few key things we need to be looking at. First of all, when we're looking for pools, we need to look at the correlation. So how correlated are the assets that we're looking into? For example, if we're looking at a wrapped ETH to Link position, we need to look at how correlated ETH is to Link. Also, we need to look at the fee history along with the volume history. And then of course, we need to look at the TVL. So these are all indicators that can show signs of consistency in a liquidity pool or show signs of longevity. But how exactly can we go about finding these liquidity pools? So if you go over to Uniswap and you go to the view positions, you can go ahead and scroll through some pools, but you can't find too much information about these pools. For example, we can click on DAI to USDC here. You can see the fees per day. You can see the 24-hour volume, 24-hour fees. Other than that, you can't see much more information. You can't see how correlated the assets are, and you can't run any advanced simulations on your earning potential. Same thing goes for Orca. You can go to the pool section. You can go here and click on a pool. You can see some basic information. You can see a basic simulation, but you can't do any more in-depth research, and you also can't see how correlated the assets are, which is very important to know. So we'll be using Metrics Finance, which is the best software for finding these liquidity provision opportunities and also simulating our returns to see what type of money we could be making in these liquidity pools. So we can go to the Discover section at the top, and in the description down below, I'll leave a link where you can claim a trial to the Pro version so you can try it out for yourself. Anyways, we can select all for exchanges, select all for networks, and we'll see over 2,000 pools to sort through. We can start sorting through these. We can set up some parameters, and if you're excited for me to show you this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. For fees APR, we can add some parameters. We can look for pools with higher than 15% APR. And then for TVL, remember, over here, I mentioned that it's important to look for pools with solid amounts of TVL. This can show longevity and consistency signs. So let's look for pools that have higher than $3 million in TVL. And then for average daily fees, we want to look for pools that have solid average daily fees being paid out to liquidity providers just like me or you. So let's look for pools that have higher than like $2,500 in fees. Or we could go with something like even $3,500, just so these pools that show up have higher signs of consistency and longevity. Then we can scroll down and see some options. Now we're only down to 87 pools, so now we have a better bird's eye view of pools that could be very fit to our investment style. I'm not going to pay attention to the meme coin pools like MAGA47 to ETH, but I am going to look at pools like wrapped ETH to wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH to USDC, etc. We can find positions like wrapped ETH to Link. Remember, I mentioned this from the beginning of the video. We need to know how correlated the assets are. So to do so, we can go to simulate, we can open up a page, scroll down, and boom, we can see the correlation here. It's going to load and it's showing 94% correlation, and that's based on a 30-day calculation range. So if we want, we can change the calculation range to like the past 20 days of data. Now it's showing 86% correlation, and we can stick with about like a 15-day calculation range for a simulation. We can scroll down, see the volume history, the fee history. All this is very important to see, and Metrics Finance makes this very simple. And as a liquidity provider, this software is pretty crucial. So we can go ahead and find a sample range for a simulation, and we can see our estimated yearly APR, our monthly APR, and estimated daily earnings based on our deposit amount. So if we go with like a $9,500 deposit amount, we can see our estimated earnings per year, per month, and per day. Scrolling down, you can find other people's positions that are in this liquidity pool. I've made other videos in the past on how to actually spy on their positions in the track section. If you'd like to see more about that and how to spot winning wallets, comment down below if you'd like me to, and I can make a video about that. Anyways, we can view the TVL, the pool price history, because when we change our calculation range, we can see like the past 80 days of data. We can see the past 100 days of data of the pool price history. And same thing goes for the volume history. Now we can see the past 100 days of volume history and daily fees. This is very important data to look at. And once you found a pool that looks interesting and it shows solid APR, signs of consistency and longevity, do your research into the assets. Look at wrapped ETH, look at Link, see if they're assets you want to take on onto your portfolio. And if the answer is yes, you can save it to your portfolio for later. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. There are risks to this DeFi investing. I'm I'm just showing you the software here and sharing you my opinion. So we can go back and look for some more pools. For example, we see wrapped ETH to DAI. We can open that up. It's showing very high APR, so it's looking enticing, but maybe there could be a twist to it. Scrolling down, we see that the assets have very low correlation. It's showing about 10% correlation, and the volume history is pretty inconsistent. Here, February 3rd, we had a day with about 50K in fees, and look, on February 1st, only a little over $1,000 in fees. Same thing for February 27th, not even $2,000 in fees. So this pool is pretty inconsistent, but nonetheless, when we find a range, even a pretty wide one like this, it's still showing pretty high APR, very high APR. And for a simulation, we could always adjust our current price to try to get a better simulation. But I'm not really going to look much more into this pool because the correlation is low and the liquidity distribution chart looks pretty strange. So let's go ahead and look at some other positions here. We see wrapped ETH to MKR, about 30 million bucks in TVL. We can simulate this in a new tab. Scrolling down, these assets again have very negative correlation, negative 40%. And the fee history is pretty inconsistent, but over the past week or so, there has been very high fees. So we could go ahead and use a 15-day calculation range, and let's see what type of APR we could be looking at. I'm going to go ahead and find a range like so. We can see our estimated yearly APR, monthly APR. This is looking solid. It's showing some pretty green flags. The only things I am a bit cautious about is the inconsistent volume history. It's been consistent the past week, but look at this. Weeks ago, it was pretty low, and also the correlation is low. So let's try to look at some other pools. We can look at wrapped ETH to Aave, for example. Let's go ahead and look at this. Scrolling down, we can see 96% correlation. This is much better. Volume history, I mean, it's slanted downwards, but the market has been in pretty rough conditions the past week or two, so this is pretty expected in my opinion. So this position is definitely looking solid compared to the last two we looked at. I'm going to type in a sample deposit amount, and we can find our range. I'll go here, find a sample range, and we can see our estimated yearly APR, monthly APR, and daily estimated fees. And if you're ever looking at assets and don't really know the role they play in the DeFi ecosystem or don't know too much about them, you can go ahead, copy the name of the asset, go over to CoinGecko, paste it in, and you can start reading about it. You can see the price, the market cap, and you can go over to the website of the asset and start reading about the role it plays in the DeFi ecosystem. And once you've came to the conclusion of whether or not you want to take on exposure to this liquidity pool, if the answer is yes, you can save it to your portfolio for later. Make sure to take advantage of the trial to the pro version of Metrics Finance by clicking the link in the description down below. Anyways, have a good one.